Governor Wes Moore gives his second State of the State address. We break down his plan to revitalize Maryland. After yesterday's shocking split verdict in the federal trial against former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, find out when she'll be sentenced and what's next for City Council President Nick Mosby. Benjamin Netanyahu calling Hamas's latest ceasefire proposal delusional. Why the prime minister's popularity is falling among Israelis as they demand action to bring the hostages home.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you so much for staying with us. Governor Wes Moore emphasizing public safety in today's State of the State address. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost was in Annapolis today. She joins us now with the details.
A lot of the governor's roughly 45-minute speech centered around revamping Maryland and his plan to unveil a new state plan later this week. But it's his calls for partnerships and discussions about public safety choices that has some Republican leaders interested.
Governor Wes Moore's second State of the State address.
Happy State of the State, y'all.
Starting with a loud welcome. After making his way through a sea of lawmakers and supporters, the governor taking aim at the major conversation unfolding in Maryland right now, public safety.
That we need to move beyond the simplicity of how pundits talk about public safety and move towards a complexity of how people experience public safety.
Spending time saying he doesn't believe leaders need to pick between focusing on investing in communities and accountability for criminal behavior.
To break these false choices, we need everybody at the table.
Governor Moore calling for consequences and support services as calls grow louder for action on crime, especially youth violence. Governor Moore appears to be shifting his approach. While a Secretary of Juvenile Services Department is a beacon for keeping kids out of the adult criminal justice system, Governor Moore now attempting to reach out to both sides of this debate, even going beyond political alliances.
We will listen to states' attorneys and we will listen to the public defenders.
While the governor hammers the importance of not believing in a false choice, not everyone agrees there is one to begin with.
Do you agree that there is a false choice?
I don't think so. I think that's a choice made by the advocates to keep getting softer on crime.
The partnership push welcomed by some Republican leaders who say Democrats in control of the state house have historically gone too far.
We hear some of the words that we've talked about. We don't see that in his legislation, but I think that the message is getting around here that we really have to do something meaningful when it comes to public safety.
For the first time in many, many years that I've been here in Annapolis, you do hear a Democratic leader, the governor, and others finally start to talk about maybe we need to pass some bills that get somewhat tougher on crime rather than softer on crime.
House Minority Leader Jason Buckle says he wants to see the follow-through to the governor's call for accountability. And while he agrees there is a need for investing in the root causes of crime to prevent it in the future, Buckle argues consequences now are critical.
The guy who breaks into your house, carjacks you, who hurts and murders your loved one today, I'm not interested in his root causes. I'm interested in accountability for his actions and getting him off the streets.
Governor Moore doubling down on his public safety legislative package, including calling for a Center for Gun Violence Prevention and Intervention.
We're up against a new challenge and we need to come up with these new solutions.
How the governor plans to thread the needle between some and his administration, the calls for criminal justice policy change from communities and lawmakers' views has yet to unfold.
We are expecting to learn more details about the governor's plan for the state moving forward at some point Thursday. And it's going to be another busy day in Annapolis because Thursday afternoon, a House committee is set to hold the first bill hearing on the top Democrats' plan to curb youth violence. In the State House, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, the governor also spoke about his push to expand housing. His plan to address Maryland's housing problems has three parts. Two of them simply call for building more housing and leveraging more resources from the federal government. The third focuses on renters and their rights, specifically when it comes to evictions. Some Republicans are raising red flags about that proposal, saying they worry about the potential impact on investment.
Last year, we got Maryland's economy moving. We will continue to build on our progress. We will cut red tape so that Maryland is the friendliest state in the nation to start and build a business.
We're not talking about people, hey, I lost my job, I'm down for a month, I'm disabled, I have a little bit of a problem. We're talking about people who simply say, I can't afford to live here. I think that his bill probably goes a little too far.
Meanwhile, lawmakers will gather again in Annapolis tomorrow for a hearing on Democrats' comprehensive crime plan. Mayor Brandon Scott says Baltimore City will send a representative to show support. Today, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor pressed the mayor on his shift to a tougher stance on crime.
As juvenile crime continues to soar across the state,
We are proud to partner with the legislature on this bill.
a new bill focused on accountability for the state's juvenile justice system and a crackdown on consequences for young offenders set to take center stage in Annapolis Thursday.
We will be supportive, and there will be representation from either myself directly or the city tomorrow.
Pledging to fully back the plan, Mayor Brandon Scott seemingly shifting his stance when it comes to tough on crime legislation.
McCrae is here. You're up.
Last year, Mayor Scott nowhere to be found as City State's Attorney Ivan Bates pushed lawmakers for stronger penalties for certain gun crimes, a measure that narrowly passed.
I have to hold them accountable.
Scott also silent as longtime legislation aimed at addressing repeat violent offenders and bolstering the charge for stealing a gun from a misdemeanor to a felony failed to pass year after year.
We've seen previous tough on crime measures make their way through Annapolis in the past that you've not been in support of. So
Well, you can try to doctor this in any way that you can. We are supportive of anything that's going to actually impact reducing violence in the city, not just kowtowing to fear-mongering and right-wing talking points.
The mayor claiming nothing has changed. However,
the mayor is definitely shifting from a lot of things he said when he ran the first time and over the last couple years. What he has generally supported is some of the things that Marilyn Mosby enunciated as far as, not arresting people on petty type of things.
According to political analyst John Deedy, the mayor's sudden support for harsher penalties for offenders is likely motivated by the May primary, where Scott will face off with former Mayor Sheila Dixon, who at last check is leading him in the polls.
Mayor Scott is in a tough re-election year, and there's a perception that Sheila Dixon will be tougher on crime because while she was mayor, the crime rates were lower.
For the first time in 9 straight years, Baltimore City finally falling below 300 homicides in 2023, a 20% decrease from the prior year. Scott touting the step forward.
That reduction was the largest single-year reduction.
At the same time, quality of life crimes, including car thefts and robberies, continue to climb. And under Dixon's administration, homicides still lower than any year Mayor Scott has been in office.
I think he sees probably his own internal poll numbers. He sees the perception people have. Perception becomes reality in politics. And I think what he's doing is pivoting.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Ms. Mosby, how do you feel about this split verdict?
Leave alone.
Ms. Mosby, are you happy with the decision to take the stand?
No comment. No comment. No comment. No comment. You've done enough. Thank you.
Former Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby silent as she left the courthouse yesterday after a federal jury found her guilty on 1 count of mortgage fraud. She was found not guilty on the other. Mosby's sentencing is now scheduled for May 23rd. She will be sentenced for both this conviction and the 2 counts of perjury she was convicted for back in November. Throughout this latest trial, Mosby's defense team tried to convince the jury her ex-husband, City Council President Nick Mosby, hid financial information from her for years and that she didn't knowingly lie on any mortgage application. Nick Mosby has yet to file for re-election, but perhaps the even bigger question for him is what could happen next. While he was on the stand testifying for the defense, prosecutors allege Nick lied on his federal taxes multiple times. Fox 45 questioned him today about what's next.
If I could go back in time and change things, I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I made that mistake, and we're going to move forward. So obviously the voters will have a chance to determine if what I have put forth to date in my record of service, if that speaks volumes in this upcoming election.
Are you concerned about what this means for you personally in terms of the possibility of potential charges now that what you've said on the stand?
Yeah, no, not at all. I have been transparent with this process the entire time. I mean, when the federal government came into City Hall and did what they did to publicly announce this investigation, I sat down with them at that time. Every time that they reached out, I sat down and I was willing to take the stand and be very transparent about what is taking place and where we are. Again, I don't think, I didn't expect personal taxes to rise to the level of 3 years long of investigation into every aspect of my life and where we are, but it did. It's about time to move forward. I'm glad that, this is somewhat behind us. It's been here for 3 years, right when I took office, and I look forward to continue to push forward. I think the key thing is I've showed up every single day, whether it's the Board of Estimates, whether it's City Council President, presiding over the council, through a tremendous amount of adversity, and I'll continue to do so.
These financial concerns and this federal investigation. Since we learned about that lien, we first learned about the federal investigation in March of 2021. Federal agents issued subpoenas to several people surrounding the couple. We also learned about Marilyn Mosby's purchase of the Florida homes. Fast forward to January 13th, 2022, when Marilyn Mosby is federally indicted on 2 counts of perjury and 2 counts of mortgage fraud.
I mean, it's sad because Baltimore has a long history of corruption in our local government.
There's just a pattern of kind of saying she's a victim, and in reality, a lot of this stuff is her misbehavior on a personal level.
Mosby's trial was set for May of 2022, but it was delayed 3 times. The last delay came 1 year ago after her entire defense team withdrew from the case and she was assigned public defenders. The judge delayed the trial to allow Mosby's new defense team to get up to speed on the case. Well, Fox 45 News will continue to follow all the developments surrounding Marilyn Mosby's federal convictions and keep you updated on every step of the way. You can find all of our past reporting, any updates to come on our website, foxbaltimore.com. And download the Fox 45 mobile app so you don't miss any developments.
I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington, where families of Israeli hostages spent the day, what they're asking for, and what we're learning about a potential deal to bring them home.
Hope you've been enjoying the sunshine. We're going to see our temperatures stepping up over the coming days, but also our rain chances. The first of several systems to come is on the way. We're going to track those for you. Talk about what day is most likely to rain on you coming up.
Tonight, the fate of Israeli hostages hangs in the balance 4 months after they were taken by Hamas. As top White House officials continue to negotiate for their release, tragic news comes that at least 1 in 5 is already dead. Fox 45's Christine Frizzell joins us live from Washington with the very latest on this. Christine, good evening.
Good evening, Mary. And that news just compounding the devastation of the families here on Capitol Hill. They are desperate for information and desperate for action.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
On Capitol Hill, a reminder of the agony that remains reality for more than 100 families.
She's our sunshine.
The parents of 23-year-old Romy Gonen joining other hostage families to ask for more to be done to bring them home. Many revealing they've been kept in the dark by their own government.
We don't know if our son is still alive. We didn't get anything from the Israeli intelligence for more than 70 days.
Lawmakers vowing to keep the pressure on.
The hostages must be released.
This week, a tragic revelation that of the 136 hostages still being held in Gaza, dozens are dead or feared dead.
We've given information to 31 families of hostages who are no longer alive, and we determined their death.
The release of their remains and of the others is at the center of negotiations between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, as well as Israel and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. A deal that reportedly includes a pause in the war, the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinians held in Israeli jails, and the allowance that more food, water, medicine, and supplies be brought into Gaza.
There's a lot of work to be done, but we are very much focused on doing that work and hopefully being able to resume the release of hostages that was interrupted so many months ago.
For now, though, that work will need to continue as Israel has rejected the latest counteroffer from Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying there is no solution besides total victory, as most of the families of hostages worry the continued war means a diminished chance of their loved ones coming home.
And Christine, Secretary of State Blinken spoke just a short time ago. What did we learn? Anything new from him?
Yeah, Secretary Blinken said there is still a possibility of some sort of deal, but he continues to walk this fine line, understanding much of the world is appalled at the violence Israel has unleashed in Gaza, with nearly 30,000 people believed to be dead. Blinken said Israelis were dehumanized in the most horrific way on October 7th, but that cannot be a license to dehumanize others. Mary?
All right, Christine Frizzell, live for us in D.C. tonight. Thank you.
All right, hopefully you are ready for what is coming a little bit later on into next week. It has been too easy to handle the weather lately. It has been sunny. We've had just some cooler temperatures around, so light jacket is all. But this time of the year, it can get pretty volatile, so we're watching to see what is going to come next. And it's not too far down the road. We've got a couple more days that we can actually enjoy here. A warm-up is really happening right now. We are already begun to see those temperatures climbing a bit into the 50s. Tomorrow will likely be somewhere in the low to mid 50s. I don't think it'll be a bad day at all. Maybe just a few passing clouds towards the end of your day. And then as we head into Friday, it is going to continue to warm up. Now, this may be a little bit warmer than what we're expecting here, but upper 50s to low 60s certainly on the table as we head into your weekend. We're just wishing that this would all just continue and it would be bright, sunshiny days, but Mother Nature has different ideas for us. So let's take you through it. One system out to our west, this one way out here in the plains, is still tracking off and heading to the east. Now, by the time it gets here, we're not expecting it to really make it, but it will continue to bring southerly winds and warm us up well above our average high around 45 degrees. We're talking mid 50s to upper 50s, even 60 degrees by Saturday. If only we could have it both ways. We want our cake and eating it too is not going to be the theme for this weekend, unfortunately. It'll warm up, but we are going to have to contend with some chance for rainfall. The system out to our west is not going to be the rain producer. It's going to be the one right behind it. Here's a chance for some rain showers as we move into Saturday. Now, this is not going to be widespread or particularly heavy that we are seeing right now, but definitely want to keep the rain gear handy just in case, but at least it will not be a cold rain. And better chances for rainfall as we move into early next week. This system is going to continue to track north. We're pretty confident that this one's going to bring us a good shot at rainfall as well as some wind. Now, it could either either be on Monday or on Tuesday. Right now, the timing is a little bit off here, but that's going to be our biggest chance for rainfall when that system gets here. So we're confident that we'll have an early week storm system. The exact timing and impacts of that system are a little bit uncertain, but rainy and windy conditions appear likely. Snow is not expected, but it is not out of the question. We're going to leave it on the table, but it's not something we're pretty confident about right now. All right, so here's your weekend in a nutshell. Upper 50s Friday, 60s by Saturday. Chance of rain most likely for your Saturday. We'll be back in a bit with your 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
There were many beautiful sunrises across the country this morning. Not only were they full of color, but some also featured Venus and the waning crescent moon.
I've seen some really creepy stuff, but nothing like this.
And no, this isn't magic. This palm frond near Fresno, California is just floating in midair, all thanks to some weird circulations in the wind.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on TikTok.
As carjackings continue throughout the state, we'll show you some tips to keep yourself and your car safe. With recent carjackings across the city and state, you may be wondering how to protect yourself and your car from criminals. In tonight's Assignment America, Liana Golden from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. shares some tips from police.
Well, it is scary to think about grabbing your keys, buckling up for wherever you may be going, and then suddenly someone else is in control of your car. So how do you reduce the risk of becoming a victim of carjacking? We're on your side with some tips from DC Police. So let's start with where. MPD says carjackings can happen any place, but some spots are more common, like ATMs, self-serve gas stations, parking garages, and just your sidewalk. So before you get out of your car at any of these places, MPD says make sure it is a well-lit area and to even skip the spot next to the dumpster or any large trucks if you can avoid it. Carjacking can actually happen on the road too. MPD recommends driving in the center lane to make it harder for carjackers to approach your car, and always drive with your windows and doors locked. If a thief can't get in your car, well, you have a better chance of leaving with it. And when you're coming to a stop, leave enough room to maneuver around other cars, especially if you sense trouble and need to get away. As always, as you're approaching your car, be alert. Have your keys in your hand ready to go before you get in, and look around and even under your car and inside before you hit the road. If you do become a victim of carjacking, immediately pick up your phone and dial 911 to report the crime to police.
All right, let's take a look. 10-day forecast coming at you now, and well, we're going to continue to watch the temperatures climbing here. 60s by Saturday. And by the way, I'll be at the Be More Healthy Expo. Please come out and say hello to not just me, but all of your favorite folks here from Fox 45. I'll be out there till about noon, so you got a short window. You have to wake up early with me, but there you go. Sunday looks like we'll still be seeing the temperatures in the upper 50s, cooling down early next week, and rain chances return.
Gerard, thank you. Well, finally tonight, fans are, of course, gearing up for the Super Bowl, not just with snacks, but with, of course, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's merchandise. Business is booming thanks to the nation's newest it couple. Stores are selling all kinds of merch, including candles, T-shirts, earrings, and even burn-away cakes featuring Swift and Kelce. That is a new trend, these burn-away cakes. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.